Yo everyone, welcome to the Wrap, the second episode here. This is the weekly roundup at amps, pedals and pickups. Now there's a bunch of stuff to go through today. There's some updates for the Quad Cortex. Also got my hands on some info about what's happening for the Line 6 Helix this year. There's also a bit of backlash about the new Kemper pedal that just dropped. There's a few other nuggets of information, but we're also going to check out the new AmpHub amp that just dropped. That was the Fender Deville 4x10 combo amp. So sit back, grab a drink, relax, make sure you like and subscribe, and let's jump into it. Alright, so the first thing we're going to check out is the Quad Cortex control. This is the desktop editor for the Quad Cortex. If you're wondering why this is newsworthy stuff, this whole time, ever since the Quad Cortex came out, you could not edit, create, delete, do any sort of editing for your patches. On your desktop, you had to do everything on the unit. Now, whilst the unit is a very, very capable and arguably one of the best hands-on control interfaces and rotary encoders and that sort of stuff, I think having a desktop editor is absolutely crucial. To be honest, I have thought about getting a Quad Cortex a number of times, and the fact that there wasn't a desktop editor was definitely one of the major cons, because I just don't want to be fine-tuning things on the screen, especially with IRs if you're like dialing in that speaker. Not the best experience. I just want to, it's just mandatory to have a desktop editor. Helix, Fractal, everyone. Like, I know the Kemper one took a while to come out, but not to dwell on the past, they finally have it. So I had a look through this page. Like I said, I don't have a Quad Cortex on me at the moment, so I'm not too sure how pertinent all this sort of stuff looks. To me, it's just your typical desktop editor stuff, just made to look, very Apple-y, the way that Neural DSP like to do everything. It's a desktop editor. There's a bunch of flash surrounding it. I'll leave a link to it below if you want to check it out, but very, very good that even though they're making slow paces to get these things happening, like with plugin compatibility, they finally have the desktop editor. Hopefully they speed things up a little bit this year. I have some tinfoil hat theories on what Neural DSP are doing. We'll see if they come to fruition in 2024, but anyway, the desktop editor is finally out. All right, Submission Audio have just dropped a new bass library. They seem to be pumping these out hard and fast these days. So if you've heard of Gin Bass, Punk Bass, Grove Bass, Umansky Bass, typically a lot of the modern metal bass libraries, Submission Audio are definitely one of the king players out there. They dropped this one out, NokcurnalBass. This is something that I didn't see coming. This is a collaboration with Nick Nocturnal. I'll play the video just on screen and everything so you can see it. I haven't actually read the specs of this stuff, so if you've used Submission Audio stuff before, you kind of know how the engine works and everything. They have all the slide articulations, pops, slaps, all that sort of stuff. So traditionally, like very feature-rich, feature-packed bass libraries. What's this going for? $89 US on special. And it's a Music Man Stingray. Okay, yeah, I saw Erman posting about this. There's all the different articulations. I'll shove that on screen. Yeah, just like their other offerings, they have DI, clean, distortion. I've watched a couple of reviews of this. I'll leave some links to reviews below. But to be honest, for me, I have a bunch of their libraries already. I have Eurobass 3, which gets a ton of usage. Punk Bass 1 for all my punk needs. I use that stuff. I have Umansky Bass. I think I have one more. But anyway, I have enough bass libraries for somebody who doesn't play bass. So this doesn't really interest me at this point in time, but if I wanted a Music Man Stingray bass library, that would definitely be one of the guys I'd be going for, just because I trust the brand. I know the way they do things. So yeah, this just came out. We'll take a listen to it. Submission Audio, NokcurnalBass. When it comes to hardware modelers, we always want to know, when's the new Axe-Fx coming out? When's the new Helix coming out? Kemper, is there a new Quad Cortex on the horizon? What's sort of happening in this space? I guess that's born out of like, I don't want to buy this thing now because if the new one comes out, I've just spent a couple $1,000s on it. So I've stumbled onto this thread where they're talking about the new Helix. Is it going to be a new Helix in 2024? So up on screen here, we've got Eric Klein, who's the chief product design and architect for the Yamaha Guitar Group. He's saying that he can guarantee there's going to be no Helix successor in 2024. He also says there very well may not be one in 2025, 26, or 27 either. We're currently working on lots of big things. Our engineering team here is bigger than it's ever been in over a decade. If we felt that the Helix was deficient in any appreciable way, yes, even in 2024, we'd revisit. Firmware updates, past, present, and future, have maintained its S-tier status in 2015. Naysayers be damned. He is just tripling down on how good the Helix is. So, even not as a current Helix owner, I find this stuff interesting. I might pick up some modelers this year, and just knowing that like there's probably not going to be a new Helix for a couple years just gives me more comfort in buying that purchase. I trust this guy. We'll see if he's right or wrong, but he's saying no new Helix for a couple years now, so there you have it. Let's see how this one goes. All right, so let's talk about the Kemper Profiler player. I'll try and distill things down just to really get you up to speed. You obviously have the full-blown Kemper, the amp-like things. They're a couple grand. Then you have the Profiler stage, so the full pedal board that does absolutely everything that a Kemper does, but it's in a full-blown pedal board format. Then you have the new Profiler player, which is just a small box. It's meant to go into your pedal board. It's not meant to have the same features as the other ones. It's about half the cost and everything. So you sort of expect that there's going to be a trade-off there. It's not going to be the full-blown thing. It can't do full profiling on there. It can't play back everything that the other ones can do. But as Christoph Kemper says, it can do about 85% of what the other ones can do. A little bit like the FM3, but there's a bit of a difference here. So I'm pretty sure what's going on here is that inside the Profiler player, so the new stomp box, it's half the cost of everything. They're using the same processor as the other ones, I guess, because just to save development costs and everything, if you just use the same processor, less tweaking in the software and firmware and all that sort of stuff. So theoretically, it can do everything of the bigger brothers, but I guess Kemper's like, well, we don't want to eat our own lunch. We don't want to sell this thing at half the cost, and then nobody will buy the expensive stuff. Sort of understandable. But what they've done is they've sold the Kemper Profiler player, but then they've sort of hinted that they will give these more functionality to the users with paid unlocks, sort of like DLC and stuff. And then some people are like, hey, if I'm buying this thing, you should be giving me everything that it can do. You shouldn't be charging me more money to make this sort of stuff happen. Thus entails the forum nerds discussing and arguing all this stuff. Hopefully I haven't misquoted or anything like that, but that's pretty much a summary of the situation. I've just found this on the Kemper forum. We're aware that the Profiler player has the potential to serve the needs of different users. One side, connoisseurs of pure amp tones, blah, blah, blah. On the other side, there's the wish to play complex rigs, one-to-one from the bigger units. So the Profiler player has the theoretical potential to play full-blown rigs, but I think it's understandable that we've not drawn a Profiler at half the price of the Profiler stage, but 85% of its features. Thus, we consider since quite a while to offer one or two software upgrade with costs that will boost the player features towards the head, rack, and stage. So that's the sticking point that everyone's like, what do you mean with costs? Just give me what I paid for. I paid for the hardware. You should be able to give me everything. The ability to create profiles on the player is also a story discussed by our team. There's a few issues to be solved, such as how to, do the inputs for the return path A/B comparison. Basically, it doesn't have all the same ins and outs that the other units have. So whilst it can do it from a processing point of view, it's a little bit harder to do on the I/O side. I think somebody mentioned that there might be a different hack-on box that you can buy, another cost. But then if you're going to buy two boxes, I don't know. This is pretty much what's going on with the Kemper side of things. So technically it has the power to do all this stuff, and they're discussing paid unlocks, which has sort of rubbed people the wrong way. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. I don't have a dog in this fight. I don't have the Profiler. I can say the price of the Profiler here in Australia, you can pretty much get a second-hand toaster, maybe $100, $200 differences. I wouldn't waste my time getting the Profiler player because I'm not somebody who needs a succinct pedal board with all my boutique analog pedals and stuff, especially in the studio here with all these amps. The number one thing that I'd want to be doing is profiling, so I would just put my money towards a toaster. But if you are looking at getting a Profiler player and then doing those unlocks, I guess the question's like, well, do I get the player with unlocks down the line, or do I get the full stage? That's sort of where everyone's at the moment. So yeah, that's the Kemper frustration in 2024. All right, the next thing to talk about is John Brown, the guitarist of the band Monuments, has just launched his Modern Metal Academy. This is a guitar learning website. So if you want to really get better at guitar, something that I should really be doing, I guess that's why I find this stuff on my peripheral. This is definitely something to check out. Now, this is brand new. He just dropped a 45-minute video. I'll leave a link to that below just to give you the full rundown of everything. But amazing guitarist, super competent, really good teacher. He did a whole bunch of stuff before with Riff Hard, which was another version of these. These sorts of paid tutorial sites seem to be popping up all the time, and it's good. if you want to learn this sort of stuff, I say learn from somebody who's definitely walked the walk. You don't want to be learning guitar from someone like me. You want to be learning guitar from someone like him. So yeah, I'm going to check it out. I'm going to give you, I could just sense that they're still building things out. There's a whole bunch of like forum sections, so heaps of interaction between users. You can sort of post the way that you're playing, you'll get feedback. It's a very hands-on sort of thing. It's not like, you know, DVDs of yesteryear.
I'm going to give you the keys to the Lamborghini.
A little bit pricey, and I'm going to wait for there to be some content, but I might join for a month or two down the line. If that's something you're interested in, if you want to see me cover it, let me know in the comments. But yeah, definitely something on my radar. They do have a free area, yeah, with trial lessons, part of the live streams and everything. So if you want to check it out, sign up, check out the free lessons, let me know how you go with it. Alright, just had to jig things up a little bit here for this recording. Let's check out the new Amphub amp. It's a Fender Deville 1996, I see, 4x10, so 4 10-inch speakers. I haven't seen one of these in the wild, and I mean, this is not my sort of amp. It's, you know, clean, bluesy sort of amp, edge of breakup stuff. 2 different inputs. I find that this second input was doing some really good stuff with this guitar, a little bit cleaner. So interesting thing that the guys at STL added here is this headroom knob. This isn't on the original, and basically with these sorts of amps, you only have a single volume pedal that, you know, adds volume, saturation, just really cranks the tubes. Obviously in the digital realm, we can easily crank these things to 10, but that just saturates the heck out of things. So you have this headroom knob. So if you want to saturate things completely with the volume knob, you can go ahead and do that. But then you also have a headroom knob to sort of start cleaning things up. We'll play around with it a little bit later. Another thing they added is the 4x10 speaker emulation here going on. So 11 different microphones, quite a lot more than what they have for their other offerings. Okay, so this is the clean channel. Alright, so I'm on the drive channel. I've just engaged more drive. Have a listen to how this all sounds. Reminds me of being young and borrowing some combo amp off someone. You know, you got to get your hands on whatever gear you can back then. So not a desirable drive sound for this kind of thing, but you know, you're probably playing more lead stuff, which I won't even attempt here. I'm just going to stick to chords. We'll see the full distortion of this when we go down on the headroom. Really clean it up. Alright, this is probably how I would use this amp more than anything, just like an ambient sort of machine. So heavy delay, heavy reverb, heavy studio compression going on there. This is what's going on in the amp, same IR and everything, just a lot more effects to get that dreamy, clean sort of sound. So that kind of thing. So yeah, that's pretty much it. If you have Amphub, just download the update, and this will unlock, of course, if you have a subscription. I'll leave a link to Amphub below if you want to check it out, see what else this suite has to offer. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the new one from Amphub. So that's pretty much it this week. There's always a ton of info, ton of goss, ton of releases going on in the guitar world. I sort of call all this stuff the guitar modeler telenovela. It just seems to evolve week after week. So yeah, if you have any comments, questions, leave them in the comments below. If you want to join my Discord, I'll leave a link to that below. As always, if you stayed through to the end of the video, make sure you like, subscribe, all that sort of stuff helps. And as always, thanks for sticking around to the end of the video, and I'll catch you on the next episode of The Wrap.